Hi, filmic look. We've all heard this term before, and it's been around for as long as cinema has existed. Now, the term filmic itself is shrouded in mystery. What is filmic? Whether it's about adding film grain, or subtracting saturation, or mixing your color channels a certain way. And while there's no right or wrong answer on what the filmic look is, there is certainly a correct assumption to make that something that was shot on celluloid film is filmic, and something that was shot on a digital camera can't be filmic by default and needs additional post-production to be made that way. Now, in my practice as a DOP director and colorist, a lot of what filmic look requires has to do with certain choices made with the lighting, with the lenses, and a certain lens and a certain sensor. Maybe it's your wardrobe, and a lot of those things can be made, and whether you're there in production or whether you've gotten there and still getting there in post-production, a company called Dehancer has kindly reached out to me, and while I don't get paid by them, they are offering a promo code. It's called Cinema is Ours, and if you follow the promo code, I will get a small commission from Dehancer. Now, regardless of that, I'm here to provide an honest and clear overview of the plugin, and I want to set an example of a project that I've recently shot as a DOP, and I just want to jump in and create a few looks and just kind of give you an overview of the plugin. Now, I'm also going to go over a phone app that Dehancer has created, because I'm also a photographer and I casually take photos on Fuji and Nikon and my phone. So it's something that I do in my daily life, and I edit photos on my phone, and Dehancer also has an app for that. But firstly, I want to jump into DaVinci Resolve and show you the bells and whistles that Dehancer is providing. Join me on that. So here we are in DaVinci Resolve, and I have my color processing mode set DaVinci to DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate, and the color space to DaVinci YRGB Color Managed. So this project was shot on Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and we have here our Dehancer enabled. So we have it thrown on. The first thing we have to do is we have to let Dehancer know what gamut that we're dealing with, what gamut it is that we're dealing with. So we have DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate set, but there's also a possibility to work with ACEs. You can use all kinds of color processing modes if you want. So usually I like creating separate nodes for everything, and I'm probably going to do that now. So I'm going to create my balance node in the beginning, and I'm going to balance the image with offset, just so that we have more room to work with in Dehancer. So here we have our exposure, our temperature control, tint, defringe. Now defringe is an option that lets you alleviate some of the effects of halation, some of the effects of chromatic aberration, and it depends on the shot if you'll be able to see the result of it, but there's an option for that. Below we have our cool option, which is film. So there are many films to choose from. There's AGFA, Scenic Still, which is always fun to use. And below we have a push and pull EV dial, which essentially helps us dial in the intensity of the effect here. So below we have a full film developer. So this is to set our contrast and set our gamma corrections to a more intense or less intense look. And we have our, say, Fuji Superia here. We have Kodak Portra, which I think looks great. Actually, we're going to stick with Portra for this one. So film compression is interesting because the Dehancer allows you to set the dynamic range to that it resembles film the most, and it's something that is radically different in digital cinema cameras. The dynamic range is very different, so the clipping point of film is actually higher than that of digital sensors. But here you can set your clipping points, you can set your white point, any adjustments that we make separately on our nodes before Dehancer, and Dehancer recommends having the node, the Dehancer node as last. We can make in Dehancer pretty much. So it's an all-in-one solution for creating a look, maybe creating a quick look, or if you're so inclined to create your whole project in this plugin, you can do that. But Colorhead is interesting because I like using DCTLs, and I have Tetra DCTLs that I've been using for years. But think of Colorhead as of your DCTL controls. So in these controls, we can gang them together, and we can kind of shift the colors left and right, and it will kind of do the color separation, color mixing job for us. Or we can like undo it and choose different channels and kind of work with how it looks. And I'll try to make it look nice. And shadow tone is pretty much, you can see in the background, it's the separation, the blue light in the back. We can really see that pop if we change that. So impact, think of it as of an opacity slider in Photoshop. So below that we have film grain. Film grain is great in Dehancer, and it's intense. It's more intense than I am used to in other plugins that I'm not gonna name. But I like my film grain to be subtle. So if you like that, you can go for 65 millimeter, really refined grain, 50 ISO 50, and you can also go crazy on that. But there's 8 millimeter film, so very high quality. Now here below we have halation. We can dial halation however you want. It's pretty self-explanatory. Bloom is, in fact, I like a lot because it's kind of adding this mist filter if you didn't have one on set. And there are many options here, including 65, 35 millimeter, 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter bloom. And again, these are all sampled from actual films, actual celluloid film. So film damage, I'm not a big fan of film damage, but I think there are projects where you want to create an archive feel for those. Film damage is really applicable for a higher end cinema look. You know, again, ARRI cameras have a very subtle kind of gate flutter, and film damage is very minimal if your lab did the right job. But if you want that archival, vintage, kind of found footage feel for your project, you can go ahead and do that, and it adds many of these patterns to your image. I'm gonna have it disabled for now. Film breathe is interesting because film breathe is essentially the fluctuation of light that goes inside the mirror chamber. And gate weave and film breathe are a combination of factors that let you see that it's actual film moving inside the camera. And it's so subtle and little effects that really bring it closer to being filmic, because effectively the chemical composition is always different, and it could be discrepancy in the chemicals that you even see in many films, and the light and the way the light breaks. So it's those subtle little effects that we can replicate with Dehancer. So overscan is basically that. You can have all kinds of frames. You can have your perforations set for Super 35, Ultra Panavision. Wow, that's great. Who doesn't love Panavision? You know. So there's even a gate focus option here, and you can flip it and go crazy on that. Now below we have vignettes, and it's something that if you create a window and you go with like creating a vignette yourself, like how much work does that take? Yeah, there's more control in it, but here we've done that, and if we turn it off and go with Dehancer, Dehancer kind of takes a general approach to it, but you can also control the size and the feather and the aspect ratio of that. So there's an option to create vignette, and you can see the mask of where it is and position the mask as well, however you like. So we're gonna turn it off for now. Now below we have an amazing tool, false color. Not enough cameras have that. This plugin has false color and clipping indication, so where the image was obviously clipped. And below we have output. Think of it as of an opacity in Photoshop. It's total impact. LUT generator helps you to set the LUTs for your set work, and if you want to set the LUT ahead of time, you can do that in Dehancer and go to set with a look, that you've pre-built. Here's a bonus scene for you. I have a Dehancer app opened up right here, and you'll be able to share my screen and see the adjustments that I'm making. Here we have different film emulations. These are photos taken on a Fuji, so Dehancer is able to read Fuji RAW photos, no problem. So CineStill 50D looks like it has really nice halation options here, so I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go with maybe raising my exposure and changing my tonal contrast a little bit. And with color density, I really like the saturated colors. So the analog range limiter, again, is present, and we can select paper. So we're gonna go for 3513 or maybe 2383 is what I like. So here we have all kinds of options. We have the developer options. We can boost our contrast. We can go with gamma correction. I kind of like that. And source, temperature control. I always like color separation. I like there to be more than one tone. So here we have our film grain, and film grains are plentiful, and they're the same selection from the DaVinci Resolve plugin. So we're gonna go with 65mm or 35 here. Halation, and you can see on those light sources we have really strong halation. So here we go. Diffusion, again replicating that diffusion filter that we all like to have on our cinema cameras. And here the standard vignette option, but it also amplifies the exposure. And then film damage and overscan to whatever you prefer. It's nice that Dehancer lets you replicate similar things on the phone and use Fuji or whatever RAW support there is for the files. And if you get to use Dehancer, I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun as a photographer and not just as a filmmaker. So really nice option. Hey, so I hope it's been helpful, and the short demonstration of Dehancer helped you determine whether you'll be interested in film emulation or whether you want to shoot film, which is great. But as a film shooter myself, I have to say that I have full confidence in that film emulation is not something that you can just press a button and have. It's kind of, like I said, an amalgamation of different things, but Dehancer is definitely a powerful tool um, on a step to making it look more cinematic and making it look like an intended look that you have for your film, like I've just discovered with my short. I should have definitely graded it like a thriller, which it actually is, but it's long been released. I'm not gonna dwell on that too much. But thanks so much for watching, and like and subscribe and comment what you think and what your experiences have been with film emulations, plugins, filming, using film, using emulations, realizing that your project may have looked different, and then changing your mind and regrading it all of a sudden. So thanks so much, and I'll talk to you later in my later video. Thank you. Bye.